honored guests. Be prepared. How many times do we hear that throughout our lifetime? Pretty often, right? Be prepared could be anything from be prepared for a speech, or it could be also be prepared for if something happens. I remember a few years back, some of you might have experienced this, but a few years back was January 17th, 1994. Time was 4:30 in the morning. I was living in Nordhoff and the 405, which is close to Northridge. And my wife at the time, we had just spoke about her, she used to work on a bus at a school, riding a bus, picking up kids. We had just talked about the fact that she didn't have to work that day because it was Martin Luther King's birthday. And out of habit, I had set the alarm clock because she woke up every day at 4:30. So, set the alarm clock, she gets up. At the time, she was about 6 months pregnant with my daughter. So, she gets up, turns off the alarm clock. As she's turning back this way, all of a sudden, the house or the apartment just starts to shake violently. Now, I had lived in New York previous to that, probably about most of my teenage life, so I never really experienced this type of phenomenon. And even as a kid, you go through, these little quakes that growing up here in California you go through, but you don't really remember them. So this was actually my first time really going and experiencing something like this. So let me tell you, it was the worst thing I could think of, and that quake only lasted 10 to 20 seconds, but it felt like an eternity. All I remember is standing there, and it felt like somebody grabbed me and shook me this way and shook me this way, and all I can remember is just seeing flashes of light through the window. Having seen a lot of these movies that you go through, these horror, or these epic disaster movies, all these things are going through your head, and all I remember is stay away from the windows because the glass is going to explode. And of course, nothing happens like that, but it was the longest 10 to 20 seconds of my life. After everything was done shaking, the building still kind of shook a little bit from the aftershocks and the ground just settling. And first thing you want to do is you want to grab a flashlight because it was pitch black. There was no light. You couldn't see a single thing. The only flashlight that I had was in my car downstairs, 3 stories down. Okay. There was no light. You couldn't see anything in front of you. You're walking around and you're like trying to touch the walls, trying to see where you're at. And after that day, not having a flashlight, not having candles, not having anything prepared, it was a wake-up call, because most of us don't even think about those things, and until something happens, until a tragedy happens, until something were to the point where you are forced into being prepared. So now, every room in my house, including the bathrooms, have one of these, a flashlight. A simple thing that might be a little flashlight, it could be a little pen light, it could be anything. Costco, I love Costco by the way. Costco has a pack that you can purchase 3 batteries for like $20, okay? I would suggest buying a few of those. These little things are handy to have in your car, in your purse, in your bag, anything you carry with you. Like I said, every room in my house has a flashlight now. Before I had 0 flashlights, now I have like 30 flashlights. And the funny thing is I taught my son, he's 5 years old, he always finds a flashlight and starts playing with them. Starts, lightsaber, whatever, flashing lights, making figures in the ceiling. I always yell at him, Papa, don't play with the flashlights, they're for emergencies. Well, recently, during the last rains that we had at his mom's house, the power went out. And they had no light. And of course, because, I'm not there maintaining all this stuff anymore, the flashlights were all dead. So the first thing he does, he grabs for the flashlight, and then he turns it on and it's not working. And he's like, he told me not to play with the flashlight because this is what happened. So he remembers, Another thing that keep handy that a lot of people probably don't think about is something like this. You might ask what this is, right? This is a battery. You can plug your phone in this. So let's say it is not just for emergencies. I mean, if you go to a theme park, if you go to the movies, if you're out all day where you don't have nowhere to plug your phone into, these things really handy because you charge it, you plug your cable in it, and then you can carry it in your pocket and charge your phone. So it gives you a full charge, which is pretty handy to have. This has saved me so many times. You're at a restaurant, you're at a theme park, you're at somewhere, your kids, what do you call it? Your kids' recital, they're doing an event at school, they're doing something, and you pick up your phone, you're taking a picture, and you see that red 3%, and you're like, oh, and you're quickly taking pictures. So this thing has saved me many, many times. But being prepared is not just about having emergency supplies. It could be have a bag of clothes, a change of clothes in your car. You never know, something could happen, especially if you have kids, your kids spill stuff all over you, and then what? Now you're walking around with a big ketchup stain all over your shirt. So it's always good to be prepared, to have extra things in your car for emergencies. In your home, have extra water, if you can purchase extra gallons of water. Have just a pen handy, just you need to take notes, you need to hit somebody in the face or something. You never know. So again, little things, like I said, doesn't take much to be prepared. Just take a minute, think about what you're gonna do, where you're gonna go, and just be prepared. Thank you.